Hey, pal, think about it what you say.
What? Who was the greatest fighter that ever lived?
Me?
But what about Floyd Mayweather?
Mayweather is a landscaper, man.
What does he do?
He don't do no but cut grass.
Hello and welcome to Here's the Pitch. It's sponsored by Masters Restaurants in St. Louis, 5 locations. STLMasters.com is their website. Jack, the owner, had lunch with him a couple weeks ago, and he said, need workers, need people to come work. So if you're looking for work, Masters is paying. I know Jack is just taking money out of his pocket and just throwing it around. So if you're looking for work, go to STLMasters.com. They're a St. Louis-based restaurant, but you can just come in on the weekends and work there. Again, always comment, like, and subscribe to this channel because there's new content coming. I'm going back to what has worked in the past, and I'm bringing in some of your favorites, names. One of my favorite names of all time is Beetlejuice. His manager is with me today, Bobby Rooney. Hello, Bobby. Oh, look at that. You've got props and everything.
You know it.
So what is that back there? I see the crown, a very important crown, and then we've got his head bust. What else do we...
That is the actual head. He was decapitated in the movie Girls Gone Dead. And I asked if I could have that when they were done filming, and they gave it to me.
Well, that is quite a piece. That is probably, I would say, honestly, it's probably worth some money. You know, I don't know what kind of, I haven't gone to eBay to look for Beetlejuice material, but I would assume that is.
It's two of a kind. I have one and Howard has one.
Is it in the studio? Well, he doesn't have a studio anymore, I guess, but was it in the studio?
He has it in the studio. He has the studio. He still has a studio.
Okay.
They're on Zoom like this now, but I'm sure they'll be back someday, and he does have it.
Well, let's talk first of all. Thank you for doing this again. I know we've talked a lot, and I wanted to get you and Beetlejuice together, but you know he's not traveling. Tell us how Beetlejuice is feeling. I know people love to see him and hear him. Give us kind of a health update. Just how is Beat these days?
I talk to him all the time, and he's good. You know, his health is the same. He is diabetic, and he does have a lot of doctor's appointments because of the diabetes, so he can't travel as much anymore. Rarely can he travel, so I go down to see him. You know, I'll go down and spend a weekend with him from time to time, but as far as him coming up here and staying with me for 6 months at a time like he used to do, we're not doing that anymore, unfortunately.
He's in Georgia, right? Is he from Georgia? I know he's from Jersey City. How did they end up in Georgia?
They had when his mom retired, they moved down closer to where their family is. But he's born and raised in Jersey City.
So has he made enough money to retire, I hope? Not for your sake, but...
Yeah, he's okay. He's okay. And we still have some things that we do. We have merch and stuff. So every month I send a check down to his family. So, they're okay.
Good. That's good. We're going to talk a lot about Beat, but I was just curious about you, and then obviously Sean. Sean kind of discovered him. Sean is your brother and no longer with us, and I'll talk about that as well. Sorry about that. That was a long time ago. But tell us just that first meeting with Beat. You guys were doing, Sean was doing it. Were you working in the...
Yeah, it wasn't me. I wasn't involved at that time. It was maybe 98, the end of 98. Sean was doing, let me back up even further. My friend was getting married. We had a bachelor party for him. And somebody heard through the grapevine that you can rent a midget for tossing, and this was before the computer and everything. So somebody got the phone number before the internet, rather. Somebody got the phone number. We hired a midget to come and do tossing at the bachelor party. So my brother Sean just started a conversation with the guy, and he's like, "Wow, this is cool. How many times a month do you do this?" Like, guys, maybe a couple times a year. And Sean was like, "That's it? Why don't you give me your phone number? I'll see if I can get you some work." So at the time, the guy's name was Frank Burns, Frank Third Degree Burns. He was the original, and his dad was managing him at the time. So Sean exchanged information and started right away. Just had him booked like every weekend. So one time they were doing a bachelor party in Manhattan in the city, and the show went on till say 3 a.m. So then they have a blow up mattress and everything. They went to the Stern studio when it was on 57th Street, 47th Street, and Sean blew up the mattress out in front of the studio and started tossing Frankie onto the mattress. Gary dell'Abate, Baba Booey, sees him out there and tells Howard. In the middle of the show live, he says, Howard, my brother was 6'8". He goes, there's a giant out there tossing a midget onto this mattress. And Howard says, what are you waiting for? Go get him. So they bring him up, and Howard asks him to do a little, a little routine where he throws him and everything like that. And so, they got a kick out of it and everything. So now Sean has a connection there with the Stern Show. Never met Beetle yet. Fast forward, 6 months or so, sometime in 99, they did a party and they went to a bar in Jersey City. And he sees Lester, known now as Beetlejuice. He sees him, he's playing pool. So Sean just as soon as you see Beetle, right away you're intrigued by the whole, the appearance in itself. So Sean starts talking to them. They start playing pool. And Lester's just cracking the balls. All different balls are going in. And every time a ball goes, he thinks that it's still his turn just because a ball dropped. And Sean was like, hey, wait a minute. You didn't call that. And the bartender says, hey, pal, come here. He calls my brother. Lester never loses on this table. So Sean was like, oh, okay, I understand. So they went back. They saw him a couple more times. And then Sean found out that he lived with his mother. Somebody told him where he lived. He went to the house with Beetle and spoke to the mother and said, look, your son could be making some extra money. We do this tossing. They wear protective gear. He's not going to get hurt. You can make a couple hundred a week or whatever it was. So they started doing the shows once in a while. Sean calls the Stern Show, and he had the connection. And he says, I have another guy that I want to bring in. I'm going to bring Frankie back. I have this other guy. He rents both of them tuxedos with top hats and canes and everything. And they go in, and the rest is history. Howard said that day, he goes, if you can go, it's on YouTube, Beetle's first appearance. Howard says, Beetle, meeting you has been the highlight of my life. And then from there, it just became like Beatlemania once again.
Beatlemania, that's funny. So was he by himself? Did he just kind of do his own thing? Did he have a handler kind of help, getting him to the bar? Or did he just, he was probably in his, early 20s or late 20s?
Probably in his late 20s, yeah. No, he didn't have a handler. He knows the neighborhood. He knew how to get around the streets.
And no, I guess he just sort of shows up and has a special table. So Sean, obviously Howard, they all become huge. I think I saw Beetle come through town. I think KC was part of the troupe that came through maybe in the early 2000s. You guys, I don't know, were you part of that when they start kind of exploding and going around the country doing?
You're where? Kansas
St. Louis, yeah.
St. Louis. I brought him to St. Louis once I took over. I don't know if I saw you or if you knew we were there. But early on, when Sean had KC helping him, I wasn't involved at that point.
How long? When did you start getting involved? When did you realize there was a gravy train?
Sean went away in 2000. Let's say 2006. He went away, and he asked me just to look after Lester and just keep it alive until he got out. So I started booking the parties and doing the shows and everything. And then, as we know, Sean passed away. So what was supposed to be temporary, I became Beetle's manager at that point. And that was about 2009, I believe, because he would have been getting out in 2010. So from that point on, I took over.
Were you excited about that opportunity?
It was fun. Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
So you mentioned Sean. I was going to kind of save that for a little bit later, but you brought it up. So he goes away, as I think people, if you Google and read, I think he went to jail, right? And then unfortunately, yeah. I don't know if you talk about what happened there, how that ended up, but I know that he had kind of a heart issue or a stroke or something happened in jail that kind of ended his life.
Well, he had a stroke before he went into prison. He was a big guy, 6'8". He was about 300 pounds. He wasn't a big fat slob. He was a big guy, but when you're that big, your heart has to work extra. We had some heart issues in the family, my dad and stuff. So Sean was also diabetic. So there were some complications there, and then probably not getting the best of medical care in prison. So he died. He wound up dying in his sleep.
Oh, that's so sad. Yes, again, I'm sure it's still tough. But him and Howard, they went back and forth a little bit. Then there was some. I know he got in a little fight with Gary about the song, but for a while, Sean was coming up too much. Maybe wasn't there some of that heat back then a little bit in the early 2000s or no?
Yeah, it never had anything to do with him coming up too much. There was, like you said, there was a little beef about the song. Sean felt he was slighted with some plugs one time, and Sean was he was a wild guy, you know. But they eventually patched it all up. He was allowed back up, and I know they were on good terms when he went away.
Yeah.
So
JollyDwarf.com was on E all the time, and that's still available, right? You can go there and buy some Beat merch.
Jolly Dwarf will redirect to Beetlemerch.com now.
What can we get there? What all can we get? A crown? Can we get a shirt? What do we get?
You get shirts. You can get masks. You can get posters, hats, a lot of nice stuff, cards.
And you're the owner, right, of Stick and Move Management, right? Is that the name of the company? And you're a boxer by trade, right? You were in boxing a long time before all of this.
Professional boxer, yeah. I retired in 2011.
How did you do? How was your record?
I think I was 12-3 as a pro.
That's good.
And I had probably about another 40 amateur fights prior to that. So, I had a pretty good career.
Where you
now I train and manage fighters.
I'm trying to think now. There was a Rooney associated with Tyson, right? Back in the 80s, 90s?
Kevin Rooney. Yeah, no relation.
Okay, I was just in my head. I'm like, wait a minute. Is this one of the great Rooneys? So tell me a little bit about Stick and Move Management. I mean, as a boxing gym, you run a boxing gym up there. People, you're in Jersey, I believe, right? That area. So just if you want to kind of plug away on that for a little bit, and then we'll talk more beat.
Yeah, well, the gym is in Bayonne, New Jersey. I have a stable of amateur boxers, professional boxers. I manage the pros. I train everybody. I have an assistant that helps me. I mean, that's pretty much it. Beetle loves boxing. He was always at the gym every day. He was my partner at the gym. He loved it. That was his element, being around boxing. Cursing out little 9-year-old kids, telling them, keep your fucking hands up. In front of their parents and stuff like that. It was great.
He didn't grab it. I had grabbed him like this.
What about the other guy? You flipped him over the
I
shoulder.
flipped him over the shoulders while Bobby was fighting the other guy.
Yeah. You know what he's talking about. Yep.
I don't want to be mean. Is he mentally have something, or is that just a funny affect?
No, it's called microcephaly. It's where the head doesn't grow all the way. So, I mean, I don't know how that affects his brain. I assume that with the head that small, his brain is smaller. Obviously he's 4 feet 2 inches, I think.
6'9".
Yeah.
That's why I ask. I love him on those contests, and I think there was, anytime you think about Beetle or you think about Gary, the slow adult or Wendy, and Howard's had to change their names, and there was always that cringe factor as a fan listening, driving into work, going, should I be laughing at this? But I think as you get older and you realize, I mean, these guys love it. Wendy loves being on the radio. Gary loves when they call, even though, it's essentially possibly making fun of them. They're in on the joke. I mean, tell me a little about how did Beat feel about all this stardom and the way kind of he was treated by Howard those years?
I always say Beetle's like Forrest Gump. He's been everywhere. He's done everything. He's met everybody, and none of it means shit to him. He doesn't care. He's himself. No pretension whatsoever. He's the realest dude in the world.
Ain't no key. That dog's locked, man.
Yeah.
Dog's locked. Ain't no key.
Go ahead.
I ain't opening no door. You crazy?
Why not?
You must be out of your mind, Bobby. You crazy, man.
Nah, I wouldn't do that to you, bro.
You crazy.
So managing him these days, what's that like? Because I think for a while you probably had a really good business with him, and then COVID hits. You can't really go out and do stuff. Plus, he's not feeling as good. Tell me what that's been like the last couple of years.
Well, it's been different. We're not doing anything in person. So we have the merch. We're coming out with a cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. We're doing NFT. So it's kind of stuff like that where I may have to go down and see him for like photo shoot, maybe some signatures and stuff like that. But no longer are we on the bachelor party scene. club appearances and stuff like that. We're not doing anything in person anymore.
Do you think he'll ever get?
Not because of COVID, but because he lives down in Georgia. So just logistically, it's just tough for me to fly down and get him. And
I was going to say, is this sort of that portion of his life over, do you think, because of the distance? Or do you think there's ever a chance people will be able to get to see him in person again? Because I think people love to see Pete. Yeah, I'm hoping that things change for the better at some point, but it's hard to say. Just give me some of your favorite stories of being around Pete. I mean, you probably have a million. I mean, can you, when someone says to you, Bobby, give me something funny, I mean, or is it just nonstop hilarity? It's nonstop, but there are a few things that come to mind. I mean, I could tell you this. Being with Beetle he is human antidepressant. You cannot have a bad day with that man sitting shotgun in your car, walking down the block with him. You can't have a bad day. Your world could be crumbling around you, and he'll say something that just, you can't even believe it, the shit that comes out of his mouth. One story this is a short, quick one. You know how you have those vendors that come around, they'll sell like DVDs back in the day or stuff like that. We were at a dealership, at a car dealership, and a guy came in with a little cart and he's selling DVD movies. And I knew Beetle had a couple bucks in his pocket, so I see him over and he's talking to the guy, and the guy's putting all the movies out. Beetle's looking through them, looking at the covers and the pictures and stuff. And then I go back to what I'm doing, and a few minutes later he comes over to me, and he has two movies in his hand. And I said, "Oh, what'd you get?" And he had, the movie Lean On Me? Mm-hmm. He had two of them. He had two Lean On Me DVDs. And I said, "Oh," I said, "what are you doing?" I said, you bought two of the same movie." He says, "I know, I'm gonna watch it twice." Well, I mean, yeah, go ahead. No, I was just gonna say, just little things like that. He used to kill me with that stuff. And that is what's so hilarious. If you go back and watch any YouTube, he's so quick. Yeah, it's the confidence that he has, because you could say like there's other people that are impaired and stuff like that. Well, number one, it's his look. He's got a unique look right off the bat, but just the things, the confidence. He'll pass a lie detector on every story he tells. He's so confident in everything that he says. It's amazing. And he was like that from the first time we ever saw him on Stern. So this was something he grew up with.
Hey, Grady, you see that big dummy over there?
How about Lamont?
Ah, shut up, Lamont. You big dummy.
Yeah.
What do you guys, I mean, I know Howard has sort of changed the way his show is a little bit. Do you keep in contact with Howard at all? Is Beetle get chances to come on? The last time I went down to Georgia, we called. It was over the weekend, so Howard wasn't in the studio. So we called and left a message, and Howard played it online. But I talked to a lot of the other, like Will, Sal the stockbroker, Richard, Ronnie. I speak to all those guys all the time, and they always ask about Beetle. About his and stuff like that. Yeah, and you sort of are you managing still the Sal? Richard bachelor party experience? Is that? I'm not their official manager, but I work as a booking agent for them. So like bachelor parties and stuff, birthday parties, you could go to stickandmove.com, stickandmovemanagement.com rather. What are they doing? What are they doing? And they're not doing any weird stuff with their pants down and stuff, are they? No. Like they'll just do like meet and greets, photo ops, phone call. They'll come to a bachelor party and make phone calls. They're great. They're really, Richard and Sal are great together. It is amazing. Those guys sort of went from being fans to now, like literally, you booked them for your bachelor party. And as I thought about it, I'm like, that's ridiculous. And then I'm like, that'd be kind of funny having those guys there doing their stupid, wild, stupid stuff. Yeah. They have a lot of fans. Just with the phone calls they do. The prank phone calls are incredible. How often did you go into the Stern Show during your time? How many trips have you made into the Stern Show? Oh, probably 15 or so. Was it always cool? I was going to say, was it always cool for you to walk through those halls and be part of that and be in that area? Oh, yeah. It was a lot of fun. And you'd see people there. The first time I was there, the first time that I brought him in,
we were in the green room, and there was a bunch of Englishmen in there, and I didn't know who they were, and they were like, "Oh, for fuck's sake, Beetlejuice," and all this, and "Oh, hey, come here, Beetle, let me take a picture photo," and then Howard, I guess, brought them in, and I said to Gary or whoever was in the green room, I said, "Who the hell was that?" He said, "What? That's Duran Duran." I had no idea. I thought they were just like some English comedians or something.
I was gonna say Paul McCartney was in that day, and he was really excited to meet Beetlejuice. Who has been? I mean, you have to probably deal with people that are like, "Hey, I want to meet Beetlejuice." Is there some famous names of people who have kind of contacted you saying, "Listen, I need a special picture with Beetlejuice"? Does that happen a lot for you?
There's been so many times that stuff like that has happened. Not a picture, but a birthday party or just people that just say they love, like rappers and stuff, will inbox me on Twitter or Instagram. Floyd Mayweather loves them. Snoop Dogg. I mean, I sent Snoop Dogg a mask, a Beetlejuice mask. He made a video of himself with the mask on. People just love him. They really, really do. Everybody loves him. There's old clips on YouTube of like Gilbert Gottfried trying to talk to him, and he just completely disses him. David Spade, just a ton of stuff, man.
So, and he gets how like incredibly famous and popular he is, I assume. I mean, does he understand the fame that he?
I would say no. And that's why I compare him to Forrest Gump, because he just doesn't. I mean, he knows, like when we do a club appearance or something, and he has to come out. He knows when to turn it on. I guess he knows why he's there. But just like when people are coming up to him with cameras every 5 minutes at an airport or something, like he just thinks they're breaking balls. And sometimes he just wants nothing to do with it.
You run his Twitter account, right? I assume the Beetlejuice Twitter, and then you have your own. And just sort of as I was getting ready for this, I went through both and watched. And you post videos of him just traveling, and they're hilarious. It's really good that you get, and then what? People ask questions, you feed it to him, and then you write exactly how you think he would spell them.
So when I do the Q&As, I'll have him on the phone, and I'll just ask him like, "Hey, Pete, this guy wants to know what's your favorite kind of hot dog or whatever." And whatever he says, I type it out exactly the way he says it. I sound it out the way he says it.
You should let him type it out himself. See what that looks like.
Yeah, right.
I was just when we were talking about his popularity. To me, it's crazy too. I have a 13-year-old stepson, and his screensaver on his phone is Beetlejuice, and I go, "Well, how'd you even?" He's never heard the Stern Show. I mean, that to me is what when it clicked to me. I'm like, my God, this guy is bigger than Stern, bigger than you just told me the Snoops. That is the craziest thing. Are you amazed at that continue?
Yeah, my brother discovered a diamond in the rough right there in Jersey City, where everybody knew him for 28 years or whatever it was. My brother met him in 5 minutes. He decided he was going to make him a star, and he did. What
does his family think about his popularity, especially his mom? I think I watched kind of a mini documentary probably put together by the Stern crew where he's talking with his mom, and his mom seems like a nice, just a motherly, lady, happy. But how does she feel about all of the success, and does she enjoy that he's become a megastar?
Sometimes I think she can get annoyed, if she's at ShopRite with him and people are coming up to him and stuff like that. But she never had a problem with it. She's a very nice lady. His sister now kind of is his guardian and looks after the family. So they're a good family. His sister's a nurse, so she handles his medical stuff for him and stuff. But they're a very nice family.
Yeah, and I want to go back to the Stern thing because, again, I said that possibly people thought that he was being exploited, but with Beetle, I don't see that at all. I mean, I think he enjoys this. Was there any thought of when you guys had him early on, did you go, "Oh, this is kind of weird, you're exploiting, a guy, a little Beetlejuice guy," or did you think this is exactly what he wants, he's enjoying it? How did that work?
I mean, he was in Jersey City, he was being made fun of by people in his neighborhood his whole life. They talk about that. His family talks about it. Why not get paid? We always made sure that he maintained his dignity. There was nothing Nobody took advantage of him in any way. He was always taken care of. I don't feel that exploitation is the last thing I would think of.
Yeah.
I think meeting my brother and the way it all evolved, I think helped him.
There was a point.
It improved his life.
No, that's a good point. That's probably exactly right. I mean, who knows what would have happened if, he might be still in that bar, and who knows what could be going on. Was there a point, I thought I read somewhere that Beat actually helped Sean possibly save his life? Tell me, is there a story about that I was reading about?
When Sean had the stroke, as I said, he had a stroke before he went into prison, and he was I think he was in his bedroom, and Beetle actually found him. And Beetle tried to wake him up, and he wouldn't respond. So Beetle runs out and tells Sean's wife. He's like, something's wrong with Sean. Something's wrong with Sean. I don't know if he was foaming at I don't know what it was, but he wouldn't wake up, or he was real white or something. Beetle alerted his wife. She went in and discovered him, the way he was, and called 911. So who knows? He really did. He discovered him in distress and alerted his wife, and they saved him.
That's it's an amazing story, isn't it, when you think about their relationship?
The way Beetle tells it is that he kicked the door down, put Sean on his shoulder, and carried him to the hospital. So
that's funny. Yeah, we talked about his family a little bit. He has he's one of 6. Is everybody? Was there another dwarf in the 6 siblings, right? Or maybe he's 7? I thought there was 6 siblings. And while you count, just curious how they look at their brother or their brother's success, and how they all are kind of as mentally, physically.
Yeah, no, he has a sister that's like him. Okay, but she's like him. She's probably even a little smaller than him. She looks like him, but she's she's a home girl. She goes to church every weekend, every couple times a week or whatever. She kind of stays at home with the mom and helps out. So she looks like him, but she's not him. She's not his lifestyle or anything like that. But there are 6. One of his sisters passed away, so there's 5.
Okay.
And they get a kick out of his success.
And they all live in the house. Do they still all live in the house together or no?
No. They're all grown. I think he's the second youngest.
How old is he right now? He's almost 50, right? 68 he was born in?
53, yeah.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about just Artie Lange, and when Artie would get into it with him. Did Beetle understand that it was sort of an act, or did he not get it and really did want to beat the shit out of Artie?
Yeah, no, Artie pissed him off a few times. Artie used it intentionally. Artie would get him going for the show. And then, of course, Beetle would fire right back, you fat slob, you drunk, and all this stuff. And he would tell Beetle is a homophobe, no question about it. He would say to B, yeah, I heard you're gay. And Beetle would just explode. Fuck you, motherfucker, you fat bastard. I'll knock you the fuck out. He would go crazy. They would go back and forth. Made for some great radio for sure.
Do you keep in touch with Artie at all? I know he was a fan.
Yeah, not. It's been a few years since I've spoken to Artie. I think he's doing better. I hope he's doing better.
That's what they say. And then Dominic was a dwarf that you guys brought in, and he recently passed. I'm sure that was kind of hard for you. I mean, anytime someone goes, but people remember him and Beetlejuice going back and forth, kind of a comedy act for the Dean and Lewis of dwarfism.
Yeah. Dominic was great. It's such a shame. I can't tell you how many times he would save the show. Dominic would save the show. There would be times, not often, but Beetle, I'm sure you've seen Beetle would get into a mood where he wouldn't want to interact with anybody, and he would just kind of do his own thing. And, we'd be hired to do a show where the people paid, a decent amount of money, and then he'd show up and just, he'd be in one of those moods where he just, hey, Beat, how you doing, man? Big fan. Yeah, fuck you. Hey, Beat, how's Howard? The fuck Howard. Like, he would just shut down. Yeah, and this is not what they pay for. They want the Beetle that's going crazy, threatening people and making fun of everybody and everything. And whenever that would happen, if Dominic was with us, and I would book them as a pair often because they were great together. Dominic knew how to get them going. So in a case like that, Dominic would steal the show. He would really, not only steal the show, save the show, I should say, because he would just turn it on, and he would either know how to get Beetle going eventually, or he would just take it on himself. And Dominic was an entertaining guy. He really was.
So has Beat learned how to spell red yet? Is he still working on that?
I think he's still working on it. He's got the first 2 letters down, I think.
Now, that's not an act, though, right? That is him just...
No. Well, if you listen to it, he almost spells his name. So he said spell red. He said I think he said Lster. So he almost spelled his own name, which is, in school, that's probably what he learned, was how to spell his name.
Did him and Hank the Angry Dwarf ever get cross paths? Because I know Hank died around 2001, but that's right. Well, they did the spelling bee together, I think, or something.
Yeah. There was some great footage of them fighting in the hallway and stuff.
And Howard's orchestrating this all. It's just laughing.
Yeah.
It really was, to me, like the kind of the prime time of the show, because you bring in Artie at that point. You've got Hank, you got Beetle. Wendy starts calling Gary. The Whack Pack is really starting to form in a way. It was quite fun times. I assume for you. I mean, you weren't there at that point, but kind of just looking at the serious time. I mean, you have to enjoy. I mean, all those times going in that show and just being part of that.
It was always a great thrill going there.
It's Bobby Rooney of Stick and Move Management. He's Beetlejuice's manager. I've been hounding him to come on, and with Beetle, and hopefully one day we'll get Beetle on here. Anything else you want to add? Anything else you want to promote? I think we went through your Twitter. We talked about everything. Anything else you want to say about Beat or what's going on with you?
Well, I just follow Beetlejuice on Twitter and Instagram at BeetlePimp. So BeetlePimp. If you want to buy some merchandise, BeetleMerch.com. My website is stickandmovemanagement.com, spelled out. And my Instagram, I believe, is Bobby Rooney 175.
You need a link tree or something. You got a lot of stuff going on there.
Yeah, I know.
Well, this was fun. Like I said, I appreciate it. I know people love to hear about Beetlejuice. I'm a fan. My 13-year-old stepson's a fan. I think my grandmother's a fan. I mean, and Snoop Dogg's a fan. So we got everybody covered. But Bobby, I thank you very much, and I'm sure we'll talk again soon. Bobby, I thank you for watching. Here's the Pitch. It's sponsored again by Masses Restaurants in St. Louis, 5 locations, stlmasses.com. Make sure you subscribe, like, and comment because you'll see notifications of when new interviews are coming here throughout the end of the year and into next year. Thanks for watching. See you next time.